It's a beautiful Saturday morning, and this is New Day, the Saturday edition. This week, quite a lot of trending issues have made it to the headlines. Top on the news agenda is the presentation of the highlights of the NDC's 2016 manifesto by the president. The 3-hour presentation of the president encapsulated up to about 130 promises ranging from education, infrastructural development, and the popular one, the creation of 5 new administrative regions, among a tall list of other things. Already, policy think tank Imani Ghana has been raising questions about how the government intends to implement these policies, the funding, where the funding is going to come from. Imani Ghana says that government will have to borrow in excess of about $24 billion if it is to implement at least 75% of these promises, and it will need 5 years to do so. Also, there are claims from the MPP that a chunk of these ideas were stolen from the party. Of course, the president has come out to say that there is no way he could have copied or stolen ideas from the MPP, as he was physically part of the writing of this manifesto. So today, we will be discussing in detail the NDC, the highlights of the NDC's manifesto, 2016 manifesto, and the manifesto will be launched today anyway. So we'll also, along the line, be linking up to Buno Ahafo region to get updates of what is happening there. So on the political scene also, after months of uncertainty, the National Executive Committee of the PNC has outdoored Emmanuel Anyidoho as the running mate for the flag bearer, Dr. Edward Mahama. The key question today will be, what does he bring to the table, and how will the Mahama Anyidoho ticket improve the chances of the PNC going into the 2016 elections? And illegal mining is taking a toll on our communities and destroying water bodies. There are concerns over the emergence of dangerous cartels if the menace of illegal mining is not dealt with. Already, water bodies have been lost. Recently, the Chebi and the Boasi water treatment plants, for example, have been shut down as a result. So concerns are rising that we could be facing acute water shortage if this horrible threat is allowed to permeate our society and continue to exist. So key question we'll be asking is, how do we deal with this situation and make sure we are safe from the destruction of our environment from activities of illegal mining? And teachers' arrears have been paid. About 29,000 teachers whose documents were queried by government. Out of that, we have just received reports that 5,000 of them have received their pay arrears, which will be paid at the end of this month. This adds up to about 10,000 of those who have been approved and paid. So how long more do the rest have to wait in order to get their salaries? We will look into that also today. And government has increased their base pay by 12.5% for all public sector workers. According to the Employment Relations Minister, this decision was arrived at Tuesday after the Public Joint Sector Negotiation Committee meeting in Accra. We'll look into that also. Electoral Commission staff are demanding 50% salary increase. The Commission believes that despite these demands, it will still deliver this year's elections without distraction, and it will remain professional. So these are among the tall list of things we'll be discussing this morning. We'll take a break. This is New Day. We're live on your favorite TV station, TV3, and live on 3FM 92.7 here in Accra. Across the globe, we are streaming live at 3news.com. Later on in the show, I'll tell you our WhatsApp line. You can join our discussion. This is the New Day, Saturday edition. And today we have a full pack, and I have to introduce my guests for our discussions this morning. On my extreme left, I have Dr. Ahmed Jinapo, who is an educationist, and then next to him, I have Honorable Murtala Mohammed, who is the Deputy Trade Minister. And then we do have next to him, Madam Susan Edu Amankwa, is a CPP special advisor to the CPP presidential candidate, and she's also a pharmacist. When we start discussing gospel issues, I will pinch her so that she'll tell us more about gospel. And then on my left, we have Dr. Clement Jijonu, who is the chairman of the Accra Institute of Technology, AIT. And then next to him, we have Honorable Obi Amwa, who is a MP for Ekrepim South. Gentlemen and lady, welcome. So let's begin our discussions, not from the obvious one. The NDC's manifesto today will dominate a lot of the discussions, but let's look at illegal mining. Illegal mining has now resurfaced. Well, the challenges it's bringing is now coming at us. We do have the Chebi and Daboase water treatment plants being shut down as a result of illegal mining activities. Key question is, would formalizing small-scale mining be of help at all? And what should we do as a country to address this problem once and for all? I mean, illegal mining has been with us for ages. I mean, as far as I could remember. So let me start with you, Lady Susan Eduamankwa. Illegal mining. What do you think should be every government's blueprint or strategy to resolve the challenges that come from activities of illegal miners?
Well, maybe the government needs to start off looking at the bigger picture of the environment, and you know, from that picture, look at the destruction that is being caused, you know, from different activities, and then come to the Galamsey one, because a lot of destruction is happening. The issues when you engage the small-scale miners, they said, oh, but look at the big-scale miners and see them, they cause even bigger destructions and things like that. And yes, it's true, but they always put in mitigating measures, etc., to ensure that even though they're causing that much destruction, it's you know, they are. I mean, it's not solved, but at least they're putting in some measures to mitigate the problem. However, the small-scale miners are not doing that, and you know, they are even digging right behind homes, in the middle of streets, etc. And because there isn't any, how do I put it? Everything is willy-nilly. You know, they think there's gold here. It doesn't matter whether it's behind the houses, behind the school, it's wherever. They would go and they would dig, and cause this kind of destruction. Formalizing it, I think we've been trying to do this for years,
and it hasn't worked.
And it hasn't worked.
Why hasn't it worked? I mean, what constitutes formalization anyway? I mean, would it be to ensure that these operators are registered and the government knows where they are so they can chase them for some tax?
That is one part of it.
Ensure that they have a responsibility to put in place measures that will not destroy the environment?
Well, that is one part of it. A lot of the small-scale miners, when you speak to them, they said there's a cost involved, and that cost they don't want to go through. And of course, there must be some training, etc. And they find that it's too much trouble for them. They want to do their business without anybody supervising them, you know. So they are not willing. You know, it's a two-way thing. They're not willing to be supervised to come under anybody. They want to do their thing. For some of them, they just want to get in, make some money, and get out. But then you know, the lure of gold is huge. It's not just a matter of getting in and leaving. And you know, so there's the two aspects where, well, the government is trying, there's cost involved, the people don't want to pay costs, but they are just unwilling to come under some formalization and would rather go and do their own thing. There's a cost to their health, and you know, sometimes they say, oh, but we're making money, we'll take care of our health. And so a lot of education needs to go on, a lot of it, so that people can then take that decision that is the right one, and not say that, well, we just want to make money, times are hard, etc., and this is a quick way to make money. Because what is happening is that even children would rather, you know, go and
drop
carry
out of
load,
school
than
hunt for gold.
And hunt for gold. Or they just go and take the tailings from, you know, they also go and take the tailings and wash, and then they get money. And of course, if you're a child, you know, and you're in school, and you have another friend who seems to be able to buy the little things that the you know, children want, you would say, well, I don't think my time is better spent in the classroom.
And what happens is that,
you know,
the cycle goes on.
Thank you. You happen to have parents who didn't have much of an education, so are not pushing their children to get much of an education. And that cycle goes on and on. But coming back to the environment, you know, a lot has to be done right now, and drastic measures have to be done. Obviously, we probably can't keep our soldiers there all the time. So we need to really sit and think it through. Okay. What kind of empowerment will we give the people to understand that getting a quick buck now is not is a temporary thing, and that there are, you know, implications for their generations unborn, and getting them to do that.
Let me move to Honorable Murtala Mohammed. You coming from government side, would you say governments over the years have failed, I mean, in addressing this galamsey? And you possibly want to tell us what approach your government will be adopting to have it fixed?
Well, let me say good morning to your viewers. I wouldn't say that governments have failed. Maybe probably we haven't been doing enough, all of us, you know, and I will take it from where my sister started on the issue of looking at the larger picture. Those of us who are engaged in some agricultural activities, particularly in the north, you realize that the rainfall patterns have actually changed completely. Instances where they are supposed to start, and the local people knew that within this particular time rains should start, it should be at its peak at this time, and this time it should be, you know, the momentum should be reducing. It has completely changed. The extent to which we can no longer underestimate the effect of such activities on our environment and the consequences on everything. I think that we need to understand global warming. I am surprised that a lot of people still believe that there is nothing like that, and I think that that is the angle from which I would start. Now, it is a difficult task, more so because traditional leaders are involved. People who are mandated with the responsibility to safeguard and protect our environment are involved. Of course, the security agencies are involved, and to some extent, politicians are involved. And I say this because the people who engage in galamsey or illegal mining, some of them can do that secretly without the knowledge of the traditional authority. In some instances, the very traditional authorities are those who would give them those lands to engage in. And I also talk about the security agencies because there have been task force. The extent to which, I remember, even the task force that was set up by the Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Interior, there were instances that by the time they get there and they decided to be moving from Accra, some of them will be aware that they will be coming to, you know, to do operation as it is termed. So it is a very difficult thing, but I agree absolutely that there is the need for some education. Look, our major export earner in this country is cocoa. A lot of these galamsey operations take place in cocoa growing areas. Some of them use chemicals that may not be good for our cocoa. Now we have instances where palm nut, that there have been restrictions of the exportation of certain products to the European market and even to the other markets because of the kind of chemicals and the effects those chemicals have on the products that they export there. Assuming that we have that on cocoa, can you imagine the consequences on our economy? And I think that is extremely dangerous. And that is why I think we need to double up. We need to do more. But we cannot do that without some collaboration between, one, the task force, two, traditional authorities, three, even politicians. You go to the districts, you go to the municipalities, you have people who are engaged in it. The communities know very well that these people are engaged in galamsey operation. And to some extent, the security agencies in those areas are aware that ABCD are engaged in some galamsey. The question is, why do we all, you know, turn blind eye and deaf ear to this? I remember when these Chinese, if you like, galamsey operators were in Ghana, then I was the Deputy Minister of Information. The Chinese government sent a high-powered delegation, I think the foreign minister. They met His Excellency the Vice President, and that was the time they were arresting them, and some of them were. It created some diplomatic row between Ghana and China, if you like, even though it was in the quiet. And the Vice President told him that, look, the consequences of this is just enormous. I would want you to sit in the chopper, go through the areas that you have this galamsey operation. The man did that the following day. When he met the Vice President, he said Ghana was right, but he only pleaded that they should treat those people with some dignity and respect. But he himself saw the destruction on the Pra River and other water bodies are completely destroyed. People's livelihoods are completely destroyed. The extent to which even when you want to put a borehole, it will have an effect. But there is always, I think it's a very serious case, and all of us must collectively work together to ensure that we find a solution.
Honorable Obiamwa, Galamsey, your area is affected too, I reckon.
No, not at all.
Not at all. What? So, well, it doesn't suggest that you don't care, actually. So,
the way you started that my area is affected. Anyway,
so let's hear from you. What do you think can be done? We've discussed already whether formalization is the way forward, and it appears that we all think that there has to be some enhancement of education to ensure people understand the crisis at hand and how to deal with it. But what else can we do?
Well, thank you, and good morning to fellow panelists and yourself, and to viewers and listeners. Well, obviously this is a major problem for us, to the extent that in recent years the government has set up a task force to address the issue. So beyond setting up a task force, we need to look at other aspects of it. One, law enforcement. We cannot only continue to say we are educating when we don't enforce what we're supposed to enforce. Indeed, under the Constitution, we have the commissions which are set up to run all these things. When it comes to minerals, it's the Minerals Commission. Is it that everybody who engages in these activities has the authority to do so? If such persons don't have the authority, how do they get there? How do they start it? And how do we sit back and look at it and let them destroy everything before we start complaining? So one, we should look at the enforcement aspect of it. And of course, as we've all said, if it's education, fine, but there's a limit to which, because the average person who wants to engage in this, if he doesn't think that the law will catch up with him, he will do it with impunity. That's why we have all our water bodies polluted, our forests degraded, our farms collapsing, everything that you can think of. Those who are supposed to go to school engaging in such a business. So the major thing is that if indeed we are serious about this, then we should be seen to be devoting much effort. We should have resources to combat this. We should not just make all the noise about it. Probably after 3 months, 6 months, we all go back to sleep. We should have adequate information, update of the efforts we are taking to be able to address it. The challenge we have is where sometimes it becomes political. We sometimes create the impression that if we don't manage it well, then those engaged in those activities would rise up against us or would threaten to vote against us. Maybe you get some places
Did
where
the
they will
NPP
say,
during its tenure face this kind of challenge where they were concerned that they might lose votes if they tackle the issue head on?
The mantra in recent times has been no this, no vote. So
no Galamsey, no vote.
No Galamsey, no Galamsey, no vote. So obviously, the average politician is very cautious in tackling some of these things. But if you look at the impact on our society, socio-economic development, then you should know that mining itself has not helped us much. How much more Galamsey? Mining itself, mining that has been authorized. If you look at what it has done to our environment, to our everything, vis-a-vis what we have earned from it, then you say that mining itself is a problem. So how much more the illegal aspect of it? And if indeed it's illegal, then we should not create the impression that anybody can just jump in and do what he wants. So in the first place, those agencies entrusted to deal with these things should come out and tell us the measures they've taken to address it and the problems they are facing. And if we even need to put in more resources, then we do that. Otherwise, we will sit here and talk about it every other time when the headlines show
there will be no solution.
Yes.
Dr. Ahmed Jadapo, let me bring you in. Do you think that there being enough commitment to resolve this challenge of illegal mining over the years? Looking at the perspective that we've had so far, I mean, Obiamwa has spoken about law enforcement. Madam Susan Edu-Amankwa and Honorable Mutala have also emphasized the need to get education, let more people understand the problem and how to deal with it. But I mean, do you think overall there being enough commitment, and whether the commitment has been directed properly at resolving the issue?
Let me say good morning to cherished viewers and listeners, and good morning to my senior members. I think
Except me.
you are my senior member. You are a minister
And a kid brother too.
but you see, Steve, the point is this. I tried to check, to Google the word galamsey to know if it's an English word, and I would like to know from my colleagues if galamsey is an English word. I don't think it is.
I'm told that it's gather them and sell.
Yes, so it's like, it's not an English word. And the reason why I make reference to this is there's a difference between small-scale mining and galamsey. Indeed, as Honorable Ubiamwa did make reference to, I mean, small-scale mining has been with us for a very long time, and the law recognizes it. And it's being regulated, it's monitored, and we know what goes on there. But when it comes to illegal mining, as far as I know, when I was a young man, I mean, when I was in secondary school, I quite remember, I knew people who went to the Upper East region, around Bolgat area there, to go and engage in galamsey. So what I'm trying to say is that galamsey has been with us for a very long time. But I'm tempted to believe that what even ignited this discussion is you started by making reference to a certain water treatment plant which is shut down. It's characteristic of us as a country. These things pop up when there's a problem. If there's no problem, we go back to bed. But when something pops up, then we start talking about it. You ask me the question. Look, if you ask me what is the cause or how can this issue be addressed, it's all about commitment.
Commitment.
We as a people are not committed.
Committing resources.
Not committed. I mean, we are not
committing to education.
Yes, Steve. Look. We are not committed to purging ourselves of this menace. That is the whole thing. And when I say we are not committed, starting from the politician, the chief, the security officer, even the person involved. I mean, are you trying to tell me that those people involved in galamsey do not know the consequences? They know.
They do.
They know. They know the ramification of what they are doing vis-a-vis their livelihood. They know. But they get into it. Why? Because probably they have no options. Probably they are not going to be what? They are not going to be punished. And you see the irony about this whole thing is that we're in a political season. And I shout out to say that I haven't heard any of these political parties, the major ones in their manifesto, talking about, I mean, what is being said about how galamsey is going to be addressed. I stand to be corrected. And you know what is happening. We are talking about galamsey. My brother, go to northern Ghana. When you start from Kentampo to Boku, on the road, just check. Charcoal burning. Charcoal. Today, as we speak, I can tell you for a fact that people are exporting charcoal to Lebanon. Charcoal. It's just started. Charcoal burning in a place like my area. I remember there was a year, that was 2 or 3 years ago, I went to Daboya. We were having our youth association program, Gonja Youth. When I went there, I saw the way they were cutting down the trees. I said, what is going on? A savannah region cutting down trees? My brother, when we left, the next day, there was a serious rainstorm. And most of the buildings, the roofs went off. It had to take NADMO so much money. I said, look, I'm not surprised. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not surprised. And when that happened, there was so much noise about it. When it settled down, we went back to our normal business. So if you ask me, what is the way forward? The way forward is very simple. Commitment.
Right. Dr. Jijonu, do you think, Professor Jijonu, the way forward is commitment? You agree?
Well, my colleague, yes, his commitment, no, it may not be. I think I would want to believe that the galamsey guys are committed to what they're doing.
That's some kind of commitment. So we need to redefine the kind of commitment we're talking about here.
So, Doc.
I said commitment from the enforcers.
Enforcers.
From the politician, the chief, the police. I mean, those people are...
I also want to believe that the government, the enforcers, the bulk of them are committed. I think they're overwhelmed. It's not as easy to scope this problem.
Yeah.
As Honorable Mutara said, the chiefs are involved. They give this land to the people. The people think that, in fact, some of the Garansey think that they are doing something legal. It's business.
Yeah, earning money. Yes,
I mean, it's business. And they have been doing it for a very long time. And the whole business for them is a hide and seek. Okay? So I don't think they will be out of business tomorrow. So I think there's commitment on the side of the law enforcers. Of course, there are some law enforcers who are corrupt, who think that probably their salary is not enough. Probably if they get something on the side for the Galamsey workers, certainly they will go far. Of course, I think it's a very complicated issue. Issues bordering on the issue of unemployment, issues bordering on people want to have a livelihood, issues bordering on indiscipline, issues bordering on illegality, and so forth and so forth. The problem have been with us for a long time. It's good that we said there is what they call a small-scale mining. These are legal ones, is that correct?
Yeah.
So the guarantees are not small-scale.
Well, they're supposed to be legal ones. I mean, the Minerals Commission recognizes these as formal.
They are small-scale, but they require a lot of capital investment. Is that correct? Even to apply for the license to do that. So for you to even to be a small-scale, you must be a big operator.
Yeah.
The Galamseys are just those run-in-the-mill people.
And they're the ones destroying the
totally, yes,
more.
yes. There's no question about that. And it's a hidden business. I think they're going to continue to be around for a long time. Commitment is very important, but I really think that the Galamsey people are always one step ahead of whatever we do, because they see it as a way that they must earn a living. I'm not justifying it, okay? We must recognize the situation and see, for example, is it very easy for us to just going to chase them off and that will end the problem?
Not so easy.
It's not easy, because we'll be doing that for some time now. Will it be probably educate them? Of course they know what they're doing is not correct. They say, well, we know we are spoiling the environment. Go down Weja, where it campus. There are a lot of kind of Galamsey. That means those people who do the quarry, breaking stone, digging holes all over the place. Okay? And the police station is not far from there.
And it's the reason why when it rains, all the silt washes onto the highway at the Kaswa site.
So the Galamsey is not only the money setter.
That's true.
It's all over. Charcoal is one of them. Is that correct? The quarry is one of them. Okay? These people, when you see them, when you ask them, I walk around that neighborhood a lot. They do it. They dig deep, deep holes all over the city. They spoil the land. And they've been doing it for years. They have actually been dynamiting the land, blowing the whole place up. When you ask them, you say, guys, we must earn a livelihood. So I think it's more complex than that. If in case government really want to address this problem, we must find a way where we find alternative sources of income from these people. You may say that the way we have kiosks all over in the neighborhood, in illegal places, the local council rights, stop work, don't remove this from here, but we still have that. It's also another type of Galamsey. So for me, the Galamsey is to have a bigger economic implications. People want livelihood. They want to get their livelihood. They can do it legally if they can, but if they cannot, they look at it as their neighborhood. Okay, it's their land. So basically, I think it's very important for us to look at it holistically. Education is important, but we must understand that some of these people look at it as not illegal, but it's a way of finding livelihood. When we continue to chase them off the land, it's a hidden
coming
stake.
back.
And they have been coming back. In fact, when the Chinese were driven out of this country, I was in China. It was all over on Chinese news. I bet you those Chinese are back already.
Oh, they are.
Big business.
Oh,
they are. Yes. So it's even the Chinese, when you kick down out of this country, therefore his foreign minister who came down here and went around and said, no, it's not good. The same Chinese are back.
Madam Edouard, you know there have been reports that the police and army have been providing security for some of these operators and protecting them. The civil society groups have raised concerns about the emergence of dangerous cartels. Do you think that the involvement of the police and the military in these kinds of connivance actually could be aiding the formation of these cartels?
Yes, and that's the dangerous thing to happen. I don't want to mention the country.
That's right.
But in some countries, when you have, especially to do with drugs, where the police have been corrupted in such a way that they protect the cartel and these people become all powerful. What happens is that violence increases, all sorts of things, illicit things happen, and the place then even becomes uncomfortable, because the police, the security agencies have been bought. I don't think we want to get to that level, and so the police hierarchy, if the army, etc., they need to step in and say that, look. But like he said, commitment must come, the political will to do it, no matter what it takes, you know, must be done. And I say we fight it, yes, with, but you must also make sure you find employment for them. But you see, there's the gold rush. It's like a fever. So sometimes it's not just finding alternate employment for them. It's a certain kind of craze. I worked in the Wasa West district for a while with the small scale miners. And they tell you that, oh, even if you found a job for them that will give them, it's not the same as getting that gold nugget. You know, it's that kind of fever. We must find something. I don't know what it is to find for them. We saw it many years ago in the US, where, you know, many years ago. What was the solution? How did the people then move on and become even, you know, can we get them to still have the gold rush, but can they become like cooperatives, you know, get together so that they can still have the gold rush, but they will be in such a way that they can properly be educated to do the things that they do, because it affects their health. And at a certain point in time, they even take to suck out some of the mercury. They put it in their mouth because the way they are doing it cannot take the mercury out as much as possible for them to, and they put it in their mouth. And you tell them, these are heavy metals, they're going to you. They're like, oh, you know. And so really, we must take it seriously. The commitment must be over and above, more than what they are doing, so that we can reach it, because it's not helping us.
Honorable Mutala,
very quick one. I think that, like, we all agree that the problem is complex, is diverse. We all agree that we need all hands to be able to find solution to it. And I believe that one point that Honorable Obiamwa made that I think that strongly we need to emphasize, the law enforcement. It is not just a case of people not having jobs and for which reason they engage in illegality. Sometimes it's greed. If a corrupt person may have enough, yet he wants to have more. Assuming someone is engaged in it because he doesn't have a job, then he started and made some money. He won't stop. He won't say, because I have made some money, let me go and start business. They won't stop. And I think that is where the media also have a key role to play. How many media houses or newspapers will dedicate part of their program on issues that do not border on politics? It seems to me that everybody, if you go to the tabloid, you want to buy
But we are doing it. We go there, they threaten us, we run away.
No, what I'm saying
sometimes
is that
we just move to safety.
Yes, I'm saying that on the issue of the education, that if much attention is given to it, if we have such discussions, don't be surprised that even this thing we are discussing, for all you know, someone tuned to this station, we are talking about something that is not politics.
And they tune off.
Oh, they'll tune off. Frankly speaking, don't be surprised. I'm saying that don't be surprised.
Why we are talking about politics?
No, they want to see the NDC, MPP, who one is to this, who steals this. I mean, that is what they want to watch. That is what they want to listen to. So the education, for me, the media has a key role to play. Of course, we also need to be responsible. Honorable Obiamwa knows that there have been allegations of even politicians who are engaged in such acts. I remember even in Parliament sometimes when you discuss Galamsey, people say, Galamsey, you have it fingers pointing at. Is it really true that politicians are engaged in it? And if indeed a politician is engaged in it, I think that they must face the wrath of the law enforcement first and foremost, because they ought to know that the consequences of this is just enormous.
And they ought to know better.
So frankly speaking, it's extremely worrying. And the point I made earlier, cocoa is our largest exporting, foreign exchange earner. A lot of these activities take place in most of the cocoa grown areas. And we are told the kind of chemicals they use could have long-term effects on the cocoa we produce. Can you imagine when we export cocoa and they say, look, your cocoa has a problem, we won't accept it. I mean,
your cocoa has cyanide or mercury.
Exactly. I think that we need to look at it collectively. And I agree that sometimes we need to depoliticize things. I mean, the politics is just too much. The moment you talk about it, I think that we must be very firm. I think that we must take a position regardless the consequences of it on politics.
Whether we
and for
lose
me,
votes or
yes,
not.
and for me that is very, very important. Now, there was a point as to whether the political parties have spoken. I know His Excellency the President has spoken extensively.
I didn't hear
on
him talk about it in the highlights.
I think that it should be.
Okay.
And I strongly believe the MPP and other political parties would have something on.
We do hope that they will say.
I mean, it's something
the
that
NDC is stealing MPP.
So I strongly believe all the political parties would have that. But is it just about having it in our manifestos? It is about the commitment, and all of us must be responsible.
Dr. Jinabo, you're about to say something.
I intended to react to
Professor
argument that some of these young men who happen to engage in it is as a result of economic reasons. Yes, but I don't think that that is justifiable. I mean,
but if they don't have jobs,
no, but if
that's the only thing they know.
Steve, no,
then
let me,
you can't take it away from them.
You can engage in narcotics because
or armed robbery. Yeah. I mean, look, government has a responsibility to ensure that these young men have jobs. But at the end of the day, my argument is that it looks as if, as a country, we don't see this galamsey issue even as a menace. Why is it coming up? It's coming up because a Barakesi or whatever and all those dams
have been shut down.
I wish and I pray that this galamsey issue would have led to the closure of most of our dams, so that we know how serious it is. You understand what I'm saying? And beyond that, look, the truth of the matter is that I want to see a political party or a government that will come up with specific plans and policies as to how this issue is going to be addressed. And it looks as if
you're not seeing that. You're not hearing.
No, I mean,
you're not hearing the
I've heard something to that effect. No, I've heard something to that effect. But you agree with me that, look, day in and day out, this whole problem about galamsey keeps exacerbating. If you check last year or last 2 years when these Chinese people were arrested, vis-a-vis what is happening today, I mean, it's growing and growing. You understand what I'm saying? It's growing and growing. And we haven't even sat down to quantify the effect of it. And we haven't even come out with... I mean, these task forces are good and stuff like that. But what is the long term? They go in, they start... I mean, there's a whole lot of brouhaha about it. Then within a month or 2 or 3, business is normal. You know, business as usual. I think it's unfortunate.
You should appreciate that it's big business.
It is big business.
It's big business. It's lucrative. To the extent that the Chinese will come all the way here. And they come with equipment. Now, who gives them the licenses to operate? The equipment that they bring here, how do they sell them? Is it that they make genuine business, sell it to genuine people before they are bought by these galamsey?
So obviously they get support from Ghanaians.
From Ghanaians. One, we should be tracking the whole system. And two, even the process of the galamsey. The good that they mine, how do they sell them? In and out.
The chiefs engage the Chinese directly sometimes and sell lands to them.
And they export. And how do they export them? So that if you allow this business to go on, because it's lucrative, you know it's illegal, but you don't take measures to address them, then you'll be sitting here talking about it every day. Because the person coming all the way knows that when he comes here, the system is so loose, we are so relaxed about everything that he can make money and go back.
But you see, a gram of gold is 300 cedis.
Yes.
I mean, this is one of my small earrings.
Yeah.
This one, not the pair. You know, it's 1 gram.
Yes.
That's 300 cedis.
Yes.
You know, that is even if it is not, you know, you are getting it
And if you
too
want to
cheap.
access the gold in my sister's shoe, where the
Don't go there. You get it.
Yeah.
So
someone will chop off your
yes, you see. So there's a lot of money in it for if you are going to sell your even because they sell even their tailings. You get it, and it's. Sometimes you cannot find that person does not have the skill to have a job of that that will get the same amount of money.
Yeah.
You know, so he looks like Maybe cut no office now. Over to my, but some over to my 1,002. 1,002.
The state is not getting anything out of it.
He's making it one day.
Everything is illegal. What is the state getting out of it? The state can only get tax out of it, but from indirect means.
Because the taxes they don't even get.
Yes.
Because the people do it.
The people do it and they don't declare to anybody.
No.
They acquire property and they sell the property anyhow. So a whole system must be organized.
And that's
if we are not organized, we will end up with such a
That's why I
situation.
was talking about collective responsibility. I'll give you a classical example. This, foreigners engaged in retail business. I have had a lot of interactions and dealings with Guta and its leadership. The extent to which they themselves indicated that a lot of their members are fronting.
Yes.
So what happens is that a Ghanaian, the Chinese man comes or the foreigner, and then the Ghanaian will go and register the company.
Yeah.
When in actual fact the store doesn't belong to the Chinese. The Chinese will never step a foot there.
Right.
It's the Ghanaian who sits there.
But he will import everything.
Exactly.
And then-
And I think that is the biggest challenge.
But honorable, the fact of the matter is this. You guys are in government. What are you doing about it?
Exactly.
That is your
You
responsibility.
cannot
You
do
understand?
much if you don't have the example I gave.
That's
The
your
support. I'm
responsibility.
coming. You can't do much if you don't have the support and
The support
collaboration
system
support.
from the
And that is why
community.
I said that we need collective responsibility.
Right,
And we
collective
must all
responsibility.
began realizing that look, this thing is not about politics. This is about our destiny. This is about our country. The examples we have all given. Imagine these things happen. Imagine we wake up one day and they say, look, our cocoa that we have exported to country ABCD has this. We will not even buy it.
I agree with you, but that's why I'm saying that. No, Steve, let me land on
But
this.
it's politics.
Honorable.
The
No,
political
partisan
side of
politics.
the political side of it is that once you are in charge, you should tell us how you're going to
Yeah,
address
you
it.
actually address it. That's
No,
your responsibility.
it is not as if that nothing is being done. We've indicated about the tax force. We've indicated about enforcing it. Some people have been prosecuted. We've indicated the fact that there have been some interactions and discussions with foreign leaders and the fact that their, if you like, their citizens are engaged in this. But that is not enough. It's just like the security agencies. The security agencies, about 80% of what they do is the support they get from the general public. Because the very people who live in those communities know those who are engaged in it. And that is why I agree with the point you made earlier. We must begin enforcing the law. It is not just about arresting, seizing equipment and allowing them to go. It's about arresting and dealing with people who are engaged in it. But frankly, we need the collective effort of all.
Right.
I sit here, or the Minister of Environment sits in Accra. He doesn't know what happens in a particular village where the chief himself is in cahoots
Arrest the
with the
chief.
very people.
And lock him out.
Arrest the chief.
Arrest the chief and lock
I
him
said,
out.
he wouldn't even know. He wouldn't even know who has given that particular license.
So there's
Civil society,
there's
it's
still-
just how we're
You
talking
do it
about.
because you need votes.
How many chiefs can
This is New Day,
Let's talk about
Saturday
this.
edition, and we've had interesting discussions so far. And my name is Stephen Enti. We're live on 3FM and Connect FM, 3FM in Accra, 92.7, and Connect FM, 97.1 in Takrady. Some of your messages have been coming in. I'll quickly read through a few of them, then we'll move up to our political discussions. This one says that this Galamsey issue is becoming a headache. The education of the side effects should be preached to the local ones. The communities should be told that it hurts them. This is coming from Aram in Adenta news site. And then this one also says that Honorable Obi Amoah hit the nail on the head. Everything in this country has been reduced to getting votes. The laws are there. Why are they not enforcing the laws? Good morning to you and your panelists. If the politicians and government officials keep away from this and support the security agencies, this menace will be kicked out. This is coming from Kwesi from Kukurin to me. So we'll read more of your messages as we move on. But let's start with this section. Checking the political temperature. This week, President Mahama presented his party's 2016 manifesto highlights, and the manifesto itself will be launched later today. In his 3-hour presentation, the president encapsulated over 130 promises. These range from education, infrastructural development, public sector reforms, and a lot more, including the very popular one, which the NPP claims the NDC stole from them. That's the creation of 5 more administrative regions. We'll be looking into that. The president himself has come out to publicly say, he couldn't have stolen these ideas because he was part of writing the NDC manifesto. So he pushed that aside. And Imani Ghana, critically, Imani Ghana is questioning where government is going to get the funding from to execute all these promises. Imani says government will have to borrow in excess of over $24 billion, and if it is to execute 75% of these promises, and it will need 5 years. But of course, government says no, it has a track record to show that it can deliver on its promises. The NDC has consistently said that President Mohammed's track record in office indicates that he honors promises. So we're going to look at this, see where the money will come from to fund all of this, and whether some of them are just grandiose and just empty wishes, which might not be achieved. In the political season, these are happening. And also, later on, we'll look at the PNC and their nomination of Mr. Emmanuel Anyudoho as the running mate for Dr. Edwin Mahama. So let me start on the NDC note from you, Honorable Murtala Mohammed. The president made a lot of promises in his presentation. Well, I mean, I know that these are the highlights, but there are questions over how this can be funded. Expansion of 125 existing schools, national apprenticeship programs to reach 20% of eligible beneficiaries, or 200 community days in high schools projects to be completed, student loan scheme to achieve 80% coverage. This is just a few. Where is your government going to get the money to do all these? I mean, you are in government, you're still making promises. You should be executing things rather than continuing to make promises.
Well, I think it's very clear to everybody that in the NDC's manifesto and then the highlights His Excellency the President gave, most of the promises he made are things that he talked about we are doing as a government.
Okay.
And the fact that given the next 4 years we'll be able to accomplish some of them and then begin with.
But Imani Ghana says you need 5 years to
think that Imani Ghana should have taken the NDC's manifesto in 2012 and begin asking questions. Which of the promises we made in 2012 that we have been able to fulfill, which of them we haven't been. And we have stated publicly that we have fulfilled almost 80 or more of the promises we made in 2012.
That's questionable.
Yes, it's questionable. You can challenge me. I mean, and that is why I expect the think tank that they should do. That if NDC says that we are going to do ABCD, what the think tank should do is that take the promise we made in 2012 and item by item and find out whether we have been able to execute them. The NDC has a track record. His Excellency the President made a promise of building 200-day senior high schools. Yes, it's not every promise that you made, and no country in the world that what you capture in your manifesto that you'll be able to do. Yes, it is your wish that I should be able to complete all this, fulfill all these promises.
Oh, so they're not real promises, they're just wishes?
No, I'm saying that it should be utopian for you to assume that under the circumstances and the global trend and the challenges, even human beings, you may make a promise that by next year I should be able to do A, B, C, D.
But why promise what you cannot achieve?
You have the objective and you think that you are going to achieve that. But certain things may happen.
Okay.
And when those things happen, of course, you would have some challenge. And that is why every political party, you come with a manifesto. The manifesto is to sell your ideas, to let the people of this country understand these are the things I want to do within this particular time. It is your wish and belief that you'll be able to accomplish them within the time. But yes, as human as we are in the societies in which we are, there is the likelihood that you may not be able to. So promises are wishes, but you have concrete steps towards achieving those wishes. And if you are not able to achieve it, it doesn't mean that you knew that you wouldn't be able to. Like I said, His Excellency the President promised he was going to put up 200 senior high schools. We have done 100 and over 120. And the President said, look,
only 10 are complete, we're told.
I'm saying that we are done over, who says 10?
How many have been completed?
How many has TV3 witnessed his commission? And it's more than 10. So don't be deceived by what the MPP says. I'm saying TV3. You can
13 have been completed.
even to tall. I mean, we can move even to 15. We can move even. We can move even to 20. So you have some radio stations will tell you 10, some will tell you 15, some will tell you. But our opponents is 10. I'm saying that the number of the commissioning that your station has witnessed, and I believe that almost all the commissioning TV3 participated in it. You should be able to tell the people of this country this one. And like I said, I expect those think tanks and civil society groups, you should be able to hold governments responsible. If we say we have done this, then the opposition says, no, you haven't done this. This is how many you have done. Then you should be able to tell us. That's what they call the facts checking. You know, the kind of promises. I am saying that we have done more than what is being portrayed. And the president says, look, we intended doing this. For some reasons, we couldn't. Mind you, this is a president who won elections, was taken to court. The legitimacy of the elections were challenged.
The NDC never stops referring to that.
No, but why do we stop referring to that? You won an elections. You are given a mandate of 4 years to govern. Now you have a very bad loser who lost the election genuinely and squarely. Says no. He says no, we didn't lose. We're going to court. And remember, at the time we're in court, investors' confidence would be weaned because people wouldn't want to invest in a country where even the legitimacy of the government is challenged. And mind you, not even that. The rhetorics that preceded even the elections, and those rhetorics were coming from the leader of the major opposition party at that time. And I think that all those things were factors. And like we said, we have accomplished a lot of the promises we made.
Right.
Some of them are still ongoing. And His Excellency, the President, if you look at the highlights, most of them are things that we are doing and things that we think that within the next 4 years we'll be able to accomplish them, and then we'll begin more. So it is not about just making promises.
So,
but by the way,
I suppose because it's their day that give him so much.
Oh, by the way, let me land on this. By the way, I have listened to the most outrageous allegations that have been made. And
the stealing of ideas allegations.
And let me give a classical example. One fat lie on the setting up of the board for the
creation of 5 new.
The cashew. A fat lie. On the 18th of March, after the Ministry of Trade put the restrictions on the exportation of this cashew, on the 18th of March, it was on Friday, the ministry issued a statement withdrawing that directive. And in that statement, we palpably stated that government was going to set up a board, palpably stated. Yet, you had the flag bearer of the MPP who went to Broanhafo, I think less than a month ago, and made that promise. And the media, the very media houses, some of whom carried the story, said, oh no, the NDC stole that. I am saying on the 18th of March. On the 25th of May, you have another officer of the Ministry of Trade who also made the same point that government was going to set up this. And I remember that on the 18th of March, I guess which was on Friday, on Thursday, after the minister attended the cabinet meeting, indicated on those issues and that the president had asked that they should set up a board for cashew. So who is stealing what? And again, how can you steal something that is not even known? Then we must begin questioning the people around.
When you say known, I mean if you broadcast something,
I'm saying that we must begin. How can
you
you steal something? We must begin questioning the people around the flag bearer of the MPP, and that for me sends another signal that is extremely dangerous and risky. That if you give him the mandate, because you can't even trust the people around him, because the recordings. Look, you have recordings that are done, secret meetings, and I can give you a litany.
Are we talking manifesto?
Oh please,
yeah,
I beg you, Honorable. We are.
Please,
I beg you. So, why would you want me to laugh? And again, I'm saying that we are already, and His Excellency the President reiterated the point that, look, I participated fully in the drafting of the manifesto. I am conscious of every single item in there. And if you listen to the President and watch him, he was not talking about this was extempore. You realize that he was talking, and you could tell the man understands the kinds of things he was talking about. Haven't there been a lot of hospitals that have been built? Haven't there been a lot of water that have been provided for regions and other? Haven't there been a lot of schools that have been built? Haven't there been a lot of huge infrastructure development that we have had in this country? I think that is the clearest indication of the commitments and willingness and the track record to fulfill the promises that we have made. Let's take the NDC manifesto for 2012 and take the MPP manifesto for 2000 and 2004. Let's take NDC 2009 and see what were the promises we made. By 2012, how many of them were we able to fulfill? From 2012 till now, what were the promises we made in the 2012? And take the NPP, you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked. 81 of the promises they made, they couldn't even fulfill. They told us that they would turn chop bars into restaurants.
Which part of the?
I'll give you pages. If you want, I can even give you pages.
So
they told us that
they
told us they would turn the restaurants to chop.
They
would turn chop bars. Listen, they told us they would turn chop bars to restaurants. They told us they would build a railway.
What really is the problem with your party's concerns with ideas stolen from the NDC?
I don't want us to start from that.
From there. Where do you want us to start?
Where I want us to start from, whether manifestos are used for.
Oh no, but we've gone past that discussion.
No, I'm coming to that point.
Okay.
We should appreciate that they are useful. For the electorate, we get options. For the electorate, they're able to analyze the vision of various parties. And it's very important. You have choices. Now, the other aspect is sometimes we go overboard when we bring out these things. Sometimes they are not realistic. Sometimes they are not attainable.
You think the NDC's highlights are
unrealistic? No. I'm making a general statement before I zoom into the specifics. Sometimes they are not realistic. Sometimes they are unattainable. Sometimes they are overambitious. Sometimes you don't even have the resources to be able to execute what you say you want to do. These are challenges that we face, which we must admit. But beyond manifestos, the major challenge with manifestos is that more or less you are not accountable. You can say, I'll do this, but if you don't do it, what happens?
Nobody cares.
If you don't do it, what happens?
Nobody holds
So sometimes I even go beyond manifestos. Look at budgets, State of the Nation address. What have you said that within a year you will do this? And we move on from there. Now, if you come to manifestos, the most interesting we've had was the 2008 when NDC said that within 100 days they will carry out certain activities. They had put themselves in a certain timeline, so we all waited for the 100 days to see whether they had money to do it. We will read Accra or the cities of Forth. Were they able to do it? We will do this. I have the list here, long list. Let me read some of them to you.
But very interesting. The 100-day promises
establish a lean.
By
please,
NPP also.
No, please listen. We are trying to educate ourselves and the public. Establish a lean but effective and efficient government by cutting out ostentation and profligate expenditure. Even up to now, we have to find out whether they've been able to achieve it. That you've cut down is profligate expenditure. You have a lean government. Then 2, prepare and present to Parliament legislation on various tax and tariff measures designed to provide relief for Ghanaians. This is what they said, within 100 days. 3, ensure prompt and effective implementation of existing legislation such as the Persons with Disabilities Act and the Whistleblowers Act. Review and reconstitute membership of commissions and boards solely on the basis of expertise and competence.
So this is the 2012 manifesto of...
I've gone back to 2008, where they gave us even 100 days that they would do it. We are looking at whether within 8 years they've even been able to achieve these things that they said they would do in 100 days. Go on. Protect the safety and security of Ghanaians by streamlining, harmonizing resourcing agencies responsible for security and safe. Then, I want the most interesting one. Take bold and comprehensive measures to deal with the appalling filth in our communities and the related health problems of our people caused by inadequate, inappropriate, and ineffective waste management systems. I'm saying that here's a situation where, apart from the other rhetorics, we'll find island killers, we'll find Roku from Pons killers, we'll do this. The ones which we thought were concrete enough, which they had promised that within 100 days they would deliver. I'm saying that 8 years on, have they been able to deliver? Now, if you go to even the first State of the Nation address by Professor Mills, he tried to repeat some of these things because it was in the manifesto. Then you sit down and say whether indeed they'll be able to fulfill it. Now, if, for instance, the MPP, when we made some wanted to tell the whole world that indeed they had made these promises, but they had not delivered. So that pushed us to even prepare a document. So far, so very good. Just to take.
They also have the green
just
book.
To take.
They also have the green book, right?
Just to take. So far, so very good. Just to take all that we said we had promised, and then whether we had delivered them.
The point you're making is that from 2008, they've not been. The NDC has not been able to achieve much of the promises they made, and they've carried it forward through to 2012 and 2016.
The point I'm making is that manifestos are good. The public will have choices. But sometimes we have to be realistic in what we say, and sometimes we should not overpromise when we know we cannot achieve. And these are examples of it. Now, if you go to the economy, why didn't the NDC tell us about the economy? Now, from their performance over the years up to now, would you say that they have achieved what they said they will achieve? 2016 State of the Nation address, the last aspect of it, President Mahama, I say I will provide adequate and cheap water and electricity in every household. Has he achieved that? Just 2013 when he started his term, when he started his full term, that's what he said. Then he went on to make other promises. If you go through that State of the Nation address, it's interesting.
Right.
One district, one stadium.
So,
you'll find it there. One district, one youth center.
We'll get into the one promise.
Let me prove it.
One Ghanaian, one promise.
One district. Go and read State of the Nation address. One district, one stadium. One district, one youth center. It's in the President's State of the Nation address.
You want a twin brother?
Listen, the interesting aspect of it is that when they even promised that they will have a well-resourced sports facility for every district. The following year, he said, "Oh, yes, the drawings are being completed and when procurement."
Can you tell us which page of the State of the Nations that the President promised one district, one?
So you don't know this?
No, tell me.
You don't know this?
Oh, tell us. Tell the viewing public which page where.
We will go on break. When we go on break,
yes,
you will have the fat book in my car. I will run and go and bring it.
I challenge you.
Yes.
Madam.
Yes, I'm also daring you that I know what I'm talking about.
No, you bring it.
I'm also daring you.
You don't need to
I'm sure you followed.
I beg you, let me complete.
Yeah, okay.
To the extent that the following year, the president said, "Oh, the drawings are almost completed, and when procurement is completed, we will start building the sports arena for each district." Come 2015, silent. Come 2016, silent. So when, meanwhile, see the 2013 State of the Nation address.
I will come to Professor Jidono and
So,
Dr.
please.
Meginapo when we speak about the specific education aspect. But Madam Edouard-Mankwa, the CPP, you heard the presentation of the highlights. Today, the manifesto for the NDC will be launched. What's your impression about the content, the things the president spoke about, and whether you, from the CPP, feel that they are attainable and Ghanaians should take the president serious for those promises?
Well, I'm not going to talk about whether they are attainable or not, because like Honorable Obi said, your manifesto is also your wish list of the things that you want for
wish
your
list.
Yes,
Murtala Mohammed said it's a wish list.
Okay, so it's also a wish list. The things you wish for your country and you want to attain.
So you are saying they're not binding,
But so
that they shouldn't hang it around our necks?
Why? We can do that.
No,
I mean, we are also entitled to hang it around the politicians' necks.
Some are binding because they are constitutional.
Yeah.
The directive principle of state policy.
Yeah.
If you go and pick an item from there, that means you're saying that what the constitution says, I'm going to meet it.
Yeah.
Especially even if there are deadlines. So that one you cannot
If you
run
promise
away from.
free education,
Yeah.
for example.
Then they come in
Yeah, of course we have that. But you
Yes.
see, I mean, they are called honorable for a reason, and that they honor their word.
Yeah.
So you would hope that the person would honor their word. So you can hold.
Oh,
the
as for
person
that,
to
with
it.
any committee, they are honorable.
So you can hold the person to it. I mean, apart from the ones that are legally binding, but you can hold the person to it. It's like I said. You know, you get there, the situation may not,
Be that favorable.
Be that favorable, and so you may not be able to attain everything. But it is a vision where you want to pull people along, you know, to say that. And so for me, well, I'm not going to talk to whether it's attainable or not. I'm just thinking, oh, the president has out-promised everybody. I think if anybody wants to compete, we must do 200 promises or more. I mean, but we are in a silly season.
Out-promise the CPP, out-promise their people.
But you see, for me,
He has to capture everything.
You know, he has to. I mean, I'm looking at some of the promises and I'm smiling to myself.
Which of them?
Free tertiary education.
Which of
You
them?
know,
Free tertiary education.
Free tertiary education. No,
But it's
is it? No, not one of them. But
Is there progressive this year?
Did we do one tablet, one student? One tablet, one student.
One
One
student
student have chalk. But I rather said, oh, one piece of chalk to one student. No, but don't worry.
Honestly, he should be worried. He speaks for his part.
Let me say this.
Sorry. The reason why I say it, you see, there is a desperate attempt by our friends in MPP.
Don't be using those words.
Can I finish? To get the twin brother. To get the twin brother. To get the twin brother. The president didn't say one student, one tablet. No. So this attempt by our friends in MPP to get the twin brother, and by so doing, I mean, I don't blame her. I don't blame her for that. But I'm just saying that the MPP is desperately trying to get the twin brother. One this, one that, one dam, one village.
But
one
you say one chop.
So you had a
But for me, it's not just about building schools. You know, BCE results have come. Now, the grade A schools are going to be pressurized of them. It's also just not about expanding them. You can only so far expand them. What I want to see is that those grade B schools, have they moved to become grade A? Those grade C schools, have they moved to become grade B? You know, the quality of the education. I mean, we are not sending children to Holy Child because their buildings are beautiful. You are sending them because the product that comes out of there is well, not only beautiful,
no, you
understand. I mean, the quality of the products that comes out there, you can say, oh, this person, you know, has skill.
But are we not overemphasizing on grade A schools and grade B? I went to Binkum Secondary School. I'm who I am because I went to Binkum Secondary School.
You see, but
you can take that out of me.
No, you can't. But let me just say something. It may not relate, but that's just what comes into my mind. In my time, if you went to one of the Cape schools in university, you were most likely to be SRC president or whatever, because as soon as somebody said, oh, he went to Kwaboche or he went to Augustine's, all the Cape schools would vote for you. I mean, even if they didn't know you. So there are advantages of the grade A schools. I mean, that example may not be correct, but there are certain advantages. You understand? People will succeed in life depending on who they are and the opportunities they have. So you may go to Benkum and still succeed in life. But the thing is that when we talk about social justice, we want that child in Benkum to have the same opportunities and the same potential. As a child, or went to Augustine's, you get it. That is what we want. So for me, it is okay, put your 200 schools there, but what kind of products are coming out of that? Those 200 schools. Have you, is it a grade B school? Is it a grade C school? Look, if you picked 10 young people off the streets and you ask them questions in everyday English, you will find that, I mean, a lot of them probably don't even understand what you're talking about. And I mean, how are they equipped? You get it. We have functional illiterates.
So your point, madam, is that we should go beyond the promises and the rhetoric.
We should go beyond
concrete structures to ensure that we achieve something substantial.
The soft development. It's not just putting schools and saying that I've put 200 schools there. You see, in the countries that have done well with their education system, it has not just been because the schools are available for people to go there, but it's the type of education where, the person comes out knowing that his education is going to benefit his community and his nation. It's not just about me making money, me, myself, and I. You get it. Look, we have a system where the textbooks, they are full of mistakes. I mean, you have a situation where you have a textbook saying, what is your head used for? What is the function of your head? And all sorts of funny things.
For carrying load.
Seriously. I mean, look, let me give you this example. My daughter, she came home with homework. And she said, civic education. It says, what are the things that cause instability? And I said, multi-party democracy. And she said, no, but that's not the answer. I said, multi-party democracy causes instability. Because if you have elections and one party doesn't like this, and this, it can cause. She went to school and they marked it wrong. Of course, I went to, the teacher said, oh, that is not in our curriculum. Yes, madam, your answer may be right. We are not encouraging our children to think outside the box. We want fixed answers. You know, this is an education curriculum where it says, what do boys do? Boys wash the car. Boys
marry girls.
What do girls do? Girls carry the baby. Girls, one lady, what do mommy do? And he wrote, "Mummies pay school fees." They marked it wrong. Why? Because mummies don't pay school fees. It's only. Really, it's amazing the kind of education we are giving our children. Mummies pay school fees.
Let's stay on the education trajectory.
So what I'm saying is that the quality of the products coming out. Go to Ghana Employers Association or AGI. They're complaining that they cannot use the quality of the products coming out of the universities. So there is a problem. And the problem is not the physical issue. Politicians want to do the big things. Oh, didn't you see that school? I built that school. But what are the products coming out of that school? We want to be able to say that I take my education and it's equivalent to one anywhere in the world. You get it. Not that, okay, oh, you came from Ghana, okay, well, come and sit down and do ABC exams to see that whether.
So you think the NDC manifesto on education focus too much on infrastructure, on providing the physical structures?
What kind of level of respect or revere are we giving our teachers? In the countries that have done well, the teacher is so greatly respected. They revere them as much as they revere doctors or lawyers, or politicians. You get it.
No. It's revered. We are not revered. We are insulted.
Let me get Dr. Jinapo. Let me get Dr. Jinapo and Prof.
We are insulted every day.
Let me come to Prof. Prof, you haven't spoken for a while. I mean, let's focus on the education promises captured in the NDC's manifesto. Quite a lot of them. I can read a few. The president says he will expand and upgrade the 125 existing secondary schools. It will make additional investments in vocational and technical training. The direct budget, he says, is 100 million, and then free secondary education package to be extended to 200,000 boarding students, and also a national apprenticeship program to reach 20% of eligible beneficiaries. Multiple campuses to be set for upcoming Eastern Region-based university, main campus in Somanya, satellite campuses in multiple locations, including the Afram Plains. Grandiose, you would say, right? When it comes to education. Is that what we need as a country?
Well, Stephen, that is $1 million question. I would like to digress a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, all these things are what I could say counting things. According to Einstein, it's not everything that is countable counts.
Should be counted.
Not everything that is countable
counts.
And not everything that counts is countable. A lot of these manifestos, NPP, NDC,
CPP, PNC.
It's all about counting things. And they think that once we count things, 200 schools, this amount,
then we are achieving something.
Then it do counts. The fundamental question to me is, what counts? Why are you telling us these things? Why are you doing this, or why do you plan to do this, not the other thing? For me, I think that the fundamental thing, I think the NPP is also going to come up with their manifesto.
Very soon.
A lot of countables. Is that correct?
Yes.
Counting, no, I'm not saying these things don't count. But for me, the fundamental thing for me is whether the question, the fundamental question we are asking, what is this all about? Is it about building more schools? Is it about building more hospitals? Is it about actually developing an economy that gives us enough resources in order to build more schools and more hospitals? Let me quote Einstein again. Einstein said, the greatest invention in the 20th century is compound interest. He's not talking about compound interest of the bank. Everything that you do in life, if it cannot be compounded, if Ghana have $200, you must think that if I put you $200 in building this, can it compound in order to yield more things? Is it better for me to invest in building a stadium or building a factory? And when I build a factory, you generate economy. That's the deputy minister for trade. We export things, we make more money, and enough money we make, we build more stadiums.
Prof, you think we should be moving away from this approach to something more concrete we can achieve and deliver to the people?
Yes, certainly yes. Counting we must do, but we must not end at counting. Just wait for the MPP manifesto.
And we'll see what's in there. We'll see whether some are stealing
or I'm not into the stealing business. I am
fascinated with the stealing.
No, I'm not really. Even if they steal, it's still Ghana. Okay?
Yeah.
So I really think that's a big deal.
That's right.
Very good. I want to concentrate on the counting thing issue. When the MPP manifesto come out, I'm sure there will be a lot of countable things.
Yes.
And then by implication, they think that they do count. But for me, fundamentally, if you want to bring this n number of countable schools, n number of hospitals, n number of the training colleges.
Yes.
Where are you going to get the money to do those things?
NDC would have to answer.
Well, everybody had to answer.
Yes.
You say, well, certainly, government doesn't manufacture money. They get the money from what? From revenue. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the money from revenue doesn't come from thin air. It comes from the economy. Okay? Now, for me, the question of every manifesto is talking about what I'm going to do. But nobody is addressing exactly seriously how are you going to do it. The part of the how you're going to do it is how I'm going to mobilize resources in order to build those countable schools, those countable hospitals. For me, when I look at, I think Mahama, the president, did quite a great performance. I mean, it's true.
You call it performance?
Well, it was great. It was great. Well, we are not at the implementation level yet, so I can only judge him.
He's skillfully presented.
He's actually a great communicator, you know that. But he was throwing some figures behind what he was talking about, which I found out that this thing was not written for him. He might be part of it. So it's true that he knows the details behind that. But for me, at the end of the day, he's saying what I'm going to do, what I will do. But that's where we left it. Why you are doing it that way, you're not doing it the other way, I don't think it didn't say very much. But the big one for me is the how. When you go to the MPP manifesto some years past, I don't think they've achieved everything. They've achieved some couple of things. When you go to the NDC manifesto, I don't think they achieve everything. They might achieve a couple of things.
So that's how it goes.
That's how it goes.
You achieve some, you don't achieve some.
But for me, fundamentally, the thing that counts is the goose that lay the golden egg. Tax revenue doesn't come from thin air. It must come from an economy.
So when the economy is bad, you don't get the revenue.
Our economy has been struggling for a while. For me, if any party is very serious about manifestos, they must talk to us about that goose. The economy, they want to do it. The president started by one particular issue. He said that one of the themes behind the manifesto is job creation. There are two ways to create jobs. Probably through the private sector, which is a major part, and also to government. Government is not employing anymore. Certainly, if you want to get it to the private sector, you must develop the economy enough to do that. So if I'm reading to the president's manifesto or the NDC manifesto, I want to see how they actually create jobs. Well, building schools may create jobs in a very, very long distance time, not now. You might produce people who are capable to become entrepreneurs who will then create jobs. So in the immediate term, in the next 4 years, when the president talks about creating jobs, he's talking about the economy. Which economy? The economy we have now. The economy is not going to change fundamentally in the next 4 years unless something fundamentally happens that we don't know about.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to how the political parties are going to debate their manifesto. But I'm sure they will keep on talking about counting. I have 2 schools, you have 10 schools, I have 2 universities, you don't have that. For me, those things are countable. They really don't count. But fundamentally for me, I want the parties to tell us, again, coming back to the compound interest issue. You say, well, I'm investing in this because I think this money we are going to spend here is going to compound, develop a lot of things in the future. I have not seen that yet. But probably let me give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
They will say, all we are saying in the manifesto is what we want to do. Probably if you give it a chance, we'll tell you how we will do it. But I don't think what the president said last time They told us how to do it.
How we're going to do it, right? So this is still New Day, and I've got some of your messages coming in. We don't want to leave you out. You've been sending quite a lot of the messages. This one says, "Good morning, my brother, and to all of your panelists, especially to my comrade, my brother. How can MPP say that NDC stole their manifesto while they did not launch their manifesto?" This is coming from Kotoka Courage in Anglonga in the Volta region, and this one still says that the fighting against Galamsey will be a mirage. Well, we've gone past Galamsey. And then this one says, Oliver Jan in Pokuyase says, "Stephen, please ask Murtala Mohammed to tell us exactly how many of the 200 senior high schools have been completed, and where are the 10 training colleges they promise." Good morning, boss. In fact, the manifesto of the NDC is very clear and doable. We're in government and we have the track record of delivering. This comes from no, this Fletcher. This comes from Fletcher from Don Yawa Goma West. And Steve, our education in this country is only exam-based, so the promises do nothing. What we need is to invest in teachers, give priority to what teachers teach, so the students can be better, not a tablet. This is coming from Kofi Wayo in Santa Maria, and quite a lot more messages are coming in, and they're pouring in. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. And this is still New Day Saturday edition.
What it feels like. This is what it feels like.
Everyone has the power to win. Yechiko is back. Simply strike the second panel on the Yechiko reloaded card to win instantly with over 2.5 million Ghana cedis worth of prizes to be won. Remember, it's the Vodafone Yechiko promotion reloaded. Scratch to win and also build points by talking, texting and browsing. Build double points with Vodafone Cash.
Vodafone, power to you.
New Mentos Fresh Action Gum for a blast of freshness.
Instant noodles. Tastes great.
The Malcolm sale is back again. Get up to 60% discount in the Malcolm Blowout Sale promotions. Yes, up to 60% discount. About what's your Malcolm? Grab items from the supermarket, electronic items, furniture, houseware, kitchenware, and many more in all Malcolm shops nationwide. Terms and conditions apply. Malcolm, where Ghana shop.
What are you looking for? Malcolm got.
saw conflicts in Sierra Leone and Liberia. We saw conflicts in Rwanda. We see conflicts in South Sudan. Ghana may not be an exception if we think peace is expensive. Conflicts displaces families, kills and maims innocent women, children, and men. It is important that we maintain the peace we enjoy in our country during this election. This campaign is meant to drive home the essence of unity as Ghana goes to the polls this year. This peace campaign is powered by APL in partnership with TV3 Network Limited. Ballots, not bullets.
Who becomes the next Ghana's most beautiful? You decide. Vote your favorite contestant to win by texting Badu Na Ama Efwa Yaba Kafui Alaya Hiba Akos or Deme. To the short code 1413 on all networks. Watch the live show every Sunday at 8 p.m. live from the World Trade Center. Audience must be seated by 6 p.m. Ghana's Most Beautiful, redefining beauty to promote national unity.
Ghana's Most Beautiful is brought to you by Sasso Insecticide Spraying Coil and supported by TV3 First in News, Best in
Right, welcome back to New Day Saturday edition. We're still discussing manifestos. There are a lot to discuss in the manifesto. We'll be looking at the education promises, and Professor Jidonu has made his point on the fact that we need to focus on our investment to get the right things that will compound, that will bring more interest to a wider range of the citizenry, rather than counting numbers, what can be achieved and what cannot be achieved. So let me come back to you, Dr. Ahmed Jinapo. You as an educationist, I asked a question which Professor Jidonu put it in context. What do we need to improve our educational sector, and do you see that captured in the promises that have been made in the NDC's 2016 manifesto, and whether it will be addressed from the promises captured?
Well, let me before I address that issue, which I will, let me try and put this whole conversation within a certain context. That being, I think the NDC needs to be commended for being able to come up with their manifesto, even though it is not launched yet. Yeah. This is just a highlight.
Manifesto highlights.
But
some see that a big propaganda strategy.
Yeah, I mean,
throw the issues out into the media.
I'll get there. Honorable Obiamwa made mention that other parties have, but you agree with me in Ghana as it stands today, without being disrespectful to my dear sister,
to the CPP,
the chief advisor to the presidential candidate. What a huge position. I just can't imagine when the president is the president. Now I'm going to the chief advisor to the president. Yeah, I mean, in Ghana, when we talk about politics assistance now, the reference is always made to the NDC MPP. Legitimately so, because they are the biggest, and without any disrespect to the other political party. But you see, the point is this: manifesto needs to be understood within a context. When we say manifesto, it's a policy, it's an intent. This is what I want to do. You understand what I'm saying? Vote for me, and I'll do this. And it also needs to be posited within the political, the political framework. Because at what point in time do they launch manifestos? Normally, the year when they are going to vote. So it's a political instrument. And if it's a political instrument, the intent basically is to win votes.
So it's a tool to
win
elections.
It's a tool. So if it's a tool, what it means is that it's not necessarily a pragmatic document. Pragmatic document in the sense that it's not a document that you can put figures and say, look, it's like a business organization. You say you do A, B, C, D. How are you going to do it? How much is it going to cost? This one, it's a political.
So we shouldn't be fixated about
we shouldn't be fixated about it.
How to achieve
No, we
them.
shouldn't. We shouldn't. Of course, we can raise questions because most of the time, what you do is that you look at the mood of the country. What do they need?
You find Hercules.
One
time premium.
No, it was an issue.
Honorable is skillfully selected.
No, it's a fact. I mean, if he also wants, he also selects. So the point that I'm trying to make is that we have to look at it within a context. It's a political tool. A tool. Can you imagine in the United States, Hillary Clinton says that when I become president, I'll build 5 more states. I'll give you 5 more states. I mean, is she crazy? It can happen. They don't need it. They've passed that. That said, if you look at what is going on regarding the debates relative
Actually,
to...
so we also don't need 5 more regions.
Yeah, agreed. But some people, Susan, some people will vote for the president because their area is going to be a region. It's not true. Some people vote for presidents because they are going to get a district.
Yeah.
It's a fact. I mean, that is the environment in which we are. Indeed, some people vote for president because they've gotten road. Electricity, which is, as a matter of fact, their right. It's their right. It's the responsibility of every government to provide the basic necessities of what every constituency. So why should I vote for you because you've come to construct a road that I've paid taxes for? Did you get the point I'm trying to? So what I'm trying to say is that when you listen to the MPP and the NDC relative to whose ideas it is,
they are saying the same thing.
They are saying the same thing, and it's indicative of the needs that we as a people need. When the CPP, PNC, or NDC comes into power, you have to build roads.
So, Doc, I'm afraid that I have to move on. Our time is right.
So am I done?
So I'll come back. I'll come back to you because I've seen Honorable Obiamo.
I thought you would have made me to touch on education very quickly.
Okay, so let's touch on the education.
The point is this.
Sorry.
When we talk about education, there's no doubt that every government will have to build schools. In 10 years from now, when we want to keep the same schools that we have, there will be a shortage. You definitely will have to build schools. And of course, every government do build schools. But you have to do a comparison of different governments relative to how many schools were built. You understand what I'm saying? So if government A is in power for 4 years, and that government builds 4 schools, and government B comes into power for the same 4 years, and that government builds 20 schools, definitely government B has done better than what government A. But the point is this.
Depending
Steve,
on the resources.
Agreed. By resources, people tap resources. You have to look for it. But the point that needs to be made
is your responsibility to.
No, you have to look for money. The point that needs to be made here is
including borrowing.
No, that was what I was getting to. If you look at the ideas that have been professed by all these parties, it looks as if there's a race and competition for who can spend more. Who can spend more? Or who is going to spend more? Because we are talking of I'll do this. The argument has not been centered on who can raise what? More money. What are the measures and ingredients that are put in place to be able to raise more money? But let me land and conclude on this point. You see, education, and if you look at our educational system, education in itself, based on Ghana, we have 3 terminal periods. We have the JHS. JHS, when you finish JHS, you have every right to go into the job market. It's not compulsory when you finish JHS, you should go to SS. It's class 6 that you have to go. It's compulsory, you have to go to JHS. Because basic education ends at JHS. SSS is a terminal period. University or tertiary is a terminal period. The question that I ask is that, what kind of measures are being put in place to absorb these people? If Susan's son finishes JHS and he says that, look, Mommy, I don't want to go to school again, I want to work. Is the economy structured such that this boy can go and work? No. So yes, it is good that we build more schools. It is good that we put people into the classroom. But we also have to be mindful of when they finish, what happens.
Right, Dr. Jinapo, let's get back to
one point I want to make is
Honorable Obiamo.
One point I want to make is that in all this, in discussing some of these things, we should also be well informed, so that we don't make statements that will come out as if we had not done enough work on it. Why do I say so? For instance, the president is saying that for the next term, if he manages to win, they will elect DCs. They will elect DCs and MCs. But I find it a bit strange. Has the government position changed? Granted that in...
But this was a recommendation captured in the government white paper.
That is where the problem is. This is the white paper for a report of the Commission of Inquiry on Constitutional Review. Now on page 34, where it talks about mode of selecting metro, municipal and district chief executives. It's here. Government does not accept the recommendation that Parliament should be empowered to determine specific mechanisms.
There's nothing wrong changing its mind.
No, then tell us. Then tell us. Government does not also accept the recommendation that metropolitan chief executives should be popularly elected. That is the position of government as far as this white paper is concerned.
So you
as
want
far
to
as
know
the
whether there has been a change
Commission,
of mind
if the government is changing, then they should tell us that even though we have said this in the white paper, we think that given the situation, Ghanaians want it, so we will do this. But don't come and tell us that following from the white paper. The white paper never said that. Okay, the white paper has never said that the government accepts that DCs should be properly
Let's
elected.
get Honorable Mutala to quickly respond so you continue one thing.
If there is a commission or a committee that is tasked to do the work, and after they have finished their work, they give recommendations, government can decide to change some of the recommendations that the commission has done. I'm coming. Now, even at the time when this report was submitted to government, there were a lot of issues that government, even the white people, a lot of people disagreed. Some of them said that government should have accepted this, shouldn't have accepted this. Now, having looked at all the recommendations that were made by the commission to government, governments think that we can have it elected, but not as in broad-based election. The recommendation is that every MMDAs,
what do you mean? Not broad-based election.
So bring three.
No, yes,
five,
yes, that was what government. So let's get that. Fantastic. This
Yeah.
one is saying that allow everybody to elect. Yes, to contest and elect. That is not what government is saying. That we would have people who are selected.
But that's not what the president
I'm coming. I'm saying that if you listen to the president in submitting,
yes,
he said that look, this is how we're going to do it. We would
this
have people selected. Those people who are selected, they will go through vetting. That is for districts. But when it comes to municipality,
but then that will still have
I'm coming.
Influence.
No, I'm saying that it's not
executive.
One
popular election.
Can I finish? There were a lot of concerns that were raised, and maybe if I would tell you, I did some work in 2006. Part of the recommendations I made was that district assemblies, DCs and MMDA could be elected. This was what I did. But you see, it is important for us to look at the concerns that have been expressed. And there's a way. A lot of people, the problem they had with regards to this election is that the DC is the chairman of the security committee of the district, the MCE, and that our democracy is not that, that developed. We are about like less than 30 years. People think that there is still that concern and apprehension. Those proponents who think that it can be elected is that, yes, you can decide to make the police commander be the chairman of the security at the district. Some say that the police commander being the chairman of the district security committee, there will be a lot of concerns have been expressed. Government says we can have it elected, but this is how it's going to be done. But one point that Susan made that I would want to look at it. You see, when we are putting up, yes, it's important. I'm coming. Yes,
so I only gave
I thought you had finished.
I don't know how you jumped in.
No, you just wanted to respond.
Oh yes, so I'm saying
to the government white paper.
Yes, I was making that point that this is very critical. Yeah. The government has set up a commission. We spent over $10 million in running that commission for years. Government came out with this white paper, which some of us even don't agree, because after all the popular consultation, the government to say I accept this, I don't accept this, I accept this. Then we shouldn't.
So you're not satisfied with his explanation?
Yes.
That
and then government went on. So the point I was making was that if indeed you want to make a statement, you should be well informed about it, because it's your own document. You understand? Because it's your own document, you should not say something that is different from this when you have not come to clarify that indeed we said this. After all, President Kufuor, he was part of MPP when we said in our manifesto that we should elect DCs. When he came to office, he thought, as president, he thought it would be difficult for him to do it. When he was leaving office, he advised that indeed I was part of the party which said that we should elect DCs. But having become president for 8 years and knowing the implications
I find that it's difficult to achieve.
And he admitted it.
So, Honorable, can I ask you a question? What is wrong with government saying that you submitted a report to me, I agreed with some of the recommendations. I disagreed with. Can I ask you the question?
No, let me continue. Government is proposing.
I'm asking you a question. Yes. I beg you, so that you explain. You submit a commission has submitted a report. Then government says that, look, I disagree with this. I agree with this. And then later says, okay, I would agree with part of the recommendations you made. Is there anything wrong with that?
No, what I'm saying is that I don't want us to dwell so much on this. But what I'm saying is that if you change in your position, tell us.
You should let everybody know, right? So
why not? Government has indicated that part of the recommendations that were made by the commission.
This is a government white paper which has not been varied.
I'm going to implement the recommendations that was made in my manifesto in going into the 2016 elections. What's wrong with that?
What we heard was that DCs will be
so Honorable Obiama, I think your point has been.
So he must inform.
Your point has been made. I would like us to move the discussion a bit away from education and all of that. There's still more for us to capture in the manifesto discussion. So let me. I want to bring in Professor Jidonu.
There's a lot that we can talk about.
I want to bring in Professor Jidonu. Let's focus a little bit on the economy.
But don't forget that this is a very critical issue. Transforming lives, transforming Ghana. So this is what MPP said in 2012. Now, if they are borrowing it,
borrowing what?
Then they should let the whole world know that this is what MPP
We're
said.
back to this.
That we are borrowing it. Me, I'm charitable.
I mean,
I'm charitable. I'm not talking about.
I have just indicated that
charitable.
You didn't even steal from the president. You stole from the Minister of Trade.
About transforming Ghana.
Nanado stole from
about
the
transforming Ghana.
Right, gentlemen.
About transforming Ghana.
Let's tone down on that. I find the stealing accusation, counter accusation, a bit distracting, especially you know. So, Prof, let's talk about the economy. The economic fundamentals have not been so good. I mean, the economists say that we've gone through ups and downs. We've not been able to maintain a single-digit inflation. Now, the president has made more promises in the manifesto, saying that he will encourage new capital markets to be developed, initiative. And then he also said there will be provision for the protection of depositors fund in the banking system, database for all Ghanaians, and their skill set and employees will be given incentives to recruit from the database and regional, national employment centers. There are quite a number of things. I can't go through all of them, but the key issue is that government acknowledges that there have been challenges with this economy. And in order to fix it, there are things that must be done. I once spoke to an economist, I think on one of our shows, News at 10, who says that the starting point should be for us to have a reliable national database of who we have as a citizen, what skills they have, and we start from there. Do you think that's the starting point? And, you know, rather than all the other things that the government is promising?
Well, certainly the government did acknowledge that the economy is fundamental if we are going to go in the long haul. We're not talking about 4 years. We're not talking about 8 years. We're talking about the long haul.
Yeah.
Yes, we all do agree that for some time now we've been having a lot of problems. But the president wanted to believe that we have now we are seeing things are going to
establish build a foundation.
Very good, to move us forward. Well, so be it. If he thinks he's going to do it, let's see what happens. But certainly, we had those promises before. You see, a lot of the fundamentals which affect our economy sometimes not in our control.
Why?
Well,
Why do you say so?
You see, we are still a developing country.
For example, if we have the opportunity to improve local content in our oil industry, for example, we don't do it,
yes,
we're denying our locals.
Well, look at the local, look at the oil. You are paying royalties. Somebody is the one who go and mine the oil. You pay some royalties, and that royalties translate into revenue. And the revenue used for infrastructure development, for education, and so forth. You're not the one who is actually extracting the oil. There are a lot of fundamentals. Look at the agriculture sector. Okay? Look at the industry. There are quite a lot of things happening. This is no MPP, NDC matter. It will be around for a long time. We are not going beyond that threshold. That will launch us somewhere else.
And what is that threshold?
Well, the threshold is that, you see, an economy can oscillate below a threshold. That threshold, you're not getting anywhere. You are what they call survival economy. Your people are not going hungry, they're not rich either.
Ours is a survival economy?
Well, of course, yes. The Ghanaian economy is a survival economy. Any little thing that happens somewhere, we tend to shiver. Look at the problem that Nigeria is facing now. Some time ago, we are told that we couldn't pay gas money to Nigeria. That is why some couple of things are happening. I say fundamental. I'm not saying it's an NDC, NPP issue.
Yeah.
For it coming for a long time. Take, for example, our private sector. 86%, around about 86% of the people employed in this country are not actually the private sector, the informal private sector.
That is difficult.
That is a tough one. Our economy, and out of that, close to about 64% are one-man contractors, one-man employees.
One-man businesses.
Businesses who have no capacity to create jobs. So when any government come and say, I'm going to create jobs, certainly not in the public sector, because the IMF is going to allow you. It might be the private sector. And the private sector, which one? The informal private sector, which is going to create those jobs. And the informal private sector, a chunk of them are the people who are just finding way to survive. So we have a fundamental issue which have been lingering on for a long time. That's what I call, if we can get beyond that. Malaysia have gone beyond that. Singapore have gone beyond that. South Korea have gone beyond that.
Right.
And all these countries I'm mentioning, we used to be our classmates some years ago. They have gone beyond that. So I'm saying that I don't think Mahama can take us beyond the threshold in the next 4 years. This is a 20 years thereabout journey. If we don't do that, of course, every government will try and build some few schools, build some few hospitals, okay, and make a lot of noise, song and dance about it.
And count
it aggressively as they can count and say somebody is stealing my ideas. But I think the fundamental things that we have, if anybody in this country thinks that those are not the fundamental things, the things that count, then I want to know what counts.
Madam Susanna Joawankwa, yes, on the economy.
Okay,
The manufacturing base is crumbling.
Yeah, and even worse. I mean, over the years, we've seen the growth in the manufacture decline, and the same with agric. And so you wonder what has been done in the strategy is, and what has happened in the 4 years that we've seen it decline. Obviously, the energy problem, that we had in the 4 years has contributed, and that has set the manufacturing sector back, several years back. And in a situation where the manufacturers, I would have wished that would have been a promise from him, where domestic pay less than manufacturers who would need it to create more bring their production costs down, employ more people, so that people then have money to pay their electricity. But it's the other way around, where domestic is cheaper here than manufacturing. Maybe we should have been 1 meter, one factory, or one, I don't know, whatever. But I mean, I look at it, like I said, rejuvenation of major cities with Tema as being one of them. I'm a Tema girl. And I look at Tema and I weep.
Moved from
I am a Tema girl. I'm a Tema girl. Which is your problem?
What's your problem?
And I look at Tema and I weep, because Tema 1 used to be a planned city.
It's no longer.
People are doing
the sewage
anything.
is running up the streets.
Tema has run. It's disgusting. Tema was planned, neat, anything. I mean, even now we could say, I live in Community 2, N1, somebody can find a house. But now it's all in shambles. What are we doing? Some of the basic things.
Well, it didn't start from today.
It didn't start from today, but it has to be arrested. And somebody who is visionary must see that in 30 years' time, something that I want to happen in 30 years' time, I must start it now. So I would want to see that, especially for a place where I was born. I expect to see. It's not just about the industrial hub, but it's from where we live to the industrial hub. I mean, what kind of discipline, where you have what do you call them, taxi ranks on pavements. I mean, if you go to casino, the taxi rank is on the pavement. I mean, those are some of the things I want to see.
It's happening in Achimota too, where you get to Achimota and the taxis are all parked on the pavement. You can't even walk. And there's a night market on the pavement in the evening. You go to La Paz.
Even
that's the problem. Dr. Jinapo, sorry.
Then it goes on to say, government holds to develop parks and amusement, and I laugh. Yeah. Where are the parks? I mean, this is a country where we hate to see land without a building on. and they're building everywhere. In Sakumono, I mean, one time the young people there decided to go on some demonstration because a park that they used to play football, it's not even a football size park, that somebody was building. In front of my house, they are building. It used to be it used to be a park.
Green reserve.
They are building on it. Every single place. I mean, you hear of even stories where Achimota Forest was going to be encroached.
It has been encroached. Churches have built up in the reserved enclave.
You know, and these are things you are promising us. You had 4 years. Why didn't we see the concrete things that will make this promise look as if 8 years? So why haven't we in the 8 years? You understand? See the things that will make this promise meaningful to me. Yeah, I mean, really.
You put the brakes on that. Look, madam.
It's fair. Talk about 8 years.
Excessive informalization of the economy is problematic, isn't it?
What does that mean if you say excessive?
No, let's take for example, many people are springing up shops on the walls of their homes. They're setting up small scale businesses on the streets. Informal sector, government is unable to monitor who pays what, and then government is focused on the small formal sector and taxing them, squeezing them out. Is this a problem that you think should have been addressed in the NDC manifesto?
I think what you are saying is characteristic of an underdeveloped country. I mean, it's a reflection of third world countries. When you go to advanced countries, you won't get this. I mean, when you take Ghana, you take Nigeria, and most of these countries that are in the same brackets as us, it's the same thing. You see the same scenario. But you see, the point is this: I won't pretend to be an expert when it comes to economics. I mean, I speak to this issue as somebody who has lived it. I mean, just common sense. I think the problem that we have as a country, and I mean, as I said, this is not an expert position.
Yeah.
The problem that we have as a country is that we are still fixated with what we used to be 50 years ago. The world has changed. We are in a global competitive arena, and the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry will speak to that effectively. We are in a global competitive arena where today, if it happened that 50 years ago, Ghana used to be very competitive in terms of agricultural production. I mean, because of technology, countries like China and whatever are able to produce it within a twinkle of an eye. Of course, more textile factories no more there because China can just take a WhatsApp of this cloth. I take a WhatsApp of this cloth, I send it to China. Within a few minutes, it's done and brought here. I think as a people and as a country, we need to identify where we are strong and capitalize on that and put a lot of resources. Stephen, can you imagine that today Burkina Faso is producing more tomatoes than us? Burkina Faso. In fact, the other day I was listening to the radio and they were doing some survey in some of the big markets, Agbogbloshie and stuff like that. And the market women said they prefer the Burkina Faso tomatoes to Ghana. Why? Because it had a hard and thicker skin. So it stayed longer and it's fresher. It stayed longer.
The Ghanaian variety.
Yes, that was the word they used. They said the Ghanaian variety is what watery. So I was driving. I said, so how come these people have this kind of tomato, and our own people don't like it? Technology, science. They sat down. I mean, did their own whatever research and said, look, let's produce this variety, and we will be able to bring it to Ghana. Burkina Faso is more or less a desert country. But what did they do? They did something called what? A dam. Today it is being said, and I stand to be corrected, that we even import tilapia from Burkina Faso. Tilapia.
From China.
Yeah, China from Burkina Faso. So what I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, governments have responsibilities. We are going into an election year. For me, Honorable Obi Amwa and Honorable Mutala will have to come and convince me that, look, Comrade, vote for me. No, vote for me. I'm going to do A, B, C, D. Stephen, no, I'm just talking in general. So vote for me, I'll do A, B, C, D. And when you vote for me, I expect you to do what? A, B, C, D. I mean, governments have a responsibility to better the lives of what? The people. That is why we always give them what? That mandate. You understand what I'm saying? We give them the mandate to better the lives of what? The people. So with regards to the economy, I think the onus lies on the current administration. And I must say, and I'll say it for a fact, that look, this 2016 elections is going to be a referendum on John Mahama. That's what it is. It's not going to be a competition between President. No, let me explain. It's not going to be a competition between President Mahama and Nana Akufo-Addo. No, it's going to be a referendum on President Mahama. Those who will vote for him would see that, look, this guy has done well. Those who will not vote for him are kicking him out. They are sacking him. You understand? Because he has a track record. Nanado has never been president. So, do you get what I'm saying? Let me land on this. Nanado has never been president. President Mahama has been president for at least 4 years. And when you...
I just wanted to get on Professor Jinapo's case, Dr. Jinapo's case, when he says, so it behoves on NDC and MPP to convince him. You see, that's what we maybe unconsciously, but we are promoting the duopoly. The choices should not be between A and B, because there's C, D, E, and F. You get it, and I think that why would a party remain?
And apologize.
Okay, and apologize. I didn't hear an apology.
I don't apologize.
Okay, because we exist. And we exist with ideas which they both steal, and which is okay with us, because you know, if it is good for Ghana, it doesn't matter who is stealing. Yes, once it's good for Ghana. But I would wish that many Ghanaians, it's not just him, would not perpetuate the duopoly. There are choices out there. The two NDC and MPP, they are the same.
Kick them out. I mean, CP.
That is why it is important that they listen to us and not just say, "Oh, you are there." But
right, Madam Susan, we'd like to take a break, but quickly we have to read some of your messages that are coming in. We're leaving you. So this one says, even if these are stolen ideas, it's not for the building. Is it not for the building of Mother Ghana? Let politicians grow and know that Mother Ghana needs us all. That's from Aram Adenta News Site. And Fusaini Safianu from Sabalogu. I'm not going to read the first part of your message because it's not really fair on Honorable Murtala Mohammed. But you say that where does John Mahama get the 5 regions idea if not copying from Nanado? Okay, so you said that. The first part I won't read. I beg your pardon. And Yaka William Ejace from Yendi says the president has failed Ghanaians because of the high rate of unemployment, unpaid salary arrears of workers, high electricity tariffs, etc. By the way, does it need to take the president to highlight on a party manifesto? Ghanaians are reading through the lines. Okay, so thanks very much for that. And A.A. Farouk in Tamale says, in fact, the NDC's manifesto is one of the attractive and more encouraging manifesto in recent political landscape in Ghana. Thanks for that. And then this one is talking about the Galamsey issue. And Murtala and NDC, you can't stop, well, I don't know. We teachers want MPP, whether you have paid 10,000 teachers arrears or not. I'll leave it there. The first portion was a bit vulgar. Now, this week in the news, the government announced an increment in the base pay by 12.5% to all public sector effective January 2017. The decision, according to the Employment and Labour Relations Minister, was arrived at Tuesday's Public Sector Joint Negotiations Committee meetings. Also, the Validation Committee, which was set up to vet documentation for some 29,000 teachers before paying their arrears, have announced that 5,000 more teachers have earned a payment of their outstanding salaries and allowances, and they will be paid at the end of September. Key question is how long will it take for the remaining 29,000, of course, if they are all cleared to receive their money. And the Electoral Commission staff are demanding 50% salary increase. The staff say that they work very hard and they are not paid too much. They also actually want 30 gallons of fuel monthly for officers at the regional directorates and head offices who use their vehicles for official duties. The EC says that these demands won't affect its professionalism in delivering a credible elections. But how sure are we of this assurance? And we're going to discuss that pretty shortly. And later on, at the end of the show, we'll find out how the NewDay Mahama ticket will improve the chances of the PNC before we knock out of here. So, Honorable Murtala, let me start with you. A lot of right, Mahama NewDay. So, 12.5% salary increment to the public sector. This is coming on the back of demands that have been made by GOSPA. GOSPA has concerns with grading system. GOSPA has concerns with payment of interim market premium. Now teachers have to be paid 12.5%. The teachers say it's not enough. It does appear agitation everywhere. EC staff want 50%. How is government tackling all these challenges going into the elections? 3 months before
I
the
thought
elections.
I would have had a take on the economy. Unfortunately, myself and
our time is running out. We just have
Obiama,
about 20 minutes to do this.
Okay, that's okay. I think that this is occasioned out of negotiations that have been going on, and I think the Ministry of Employment indicated that as a result of the discussions, the good thing is that there have been some agreement, from both sides, that look, we all come to this. And in building consensus, you certainly would have to give up some and get some. That is for me one positive thing. But as to we experiencing such agitations, it's expected. I mean, anytime you're going into an elections, you would find such agitations, and people think that it's an opportunity for them to put pressure on government to yield. And the Ministry of Finance and government has indicated that contrary to the experiences that we have had in the past, that the preceding year after every elections we have, the year after every elections you have either a budget deficit or over expenditure. And these expenditures are occasioned by several factors, which is not new to any of us here. Government has made the commitment that we are not going to experience that the same year. And I am very convinced that government is going to stick to that. So that at least we must change the way things are done. If I can also borrow from Einstein, because Prof has quoted a lot of Albert Einstein. Einstein is in trouble today, and he said that the significant problem that confront us can never be solved with the thinking we had when we created them. A lot of the problems that we have as a country and as a people are our own creation. Now, if you want to find a solution to those problems, you need to change the way things are done. You need to take some bold stand, and I believe strongly that is what government has done. Because if you look at 1993, after 92 elections, we had a budget deficit. 1997, after 96 elections, we experienced same. 2001, after 2000, we experienced same. 2005, after 2004, we experienced same. 2009, after 2008. So up to 2013. Now, if there is a decision taken now, regardless the consequences of it politically, we must change the way things are done. Okay. I think in going forward, 2017, things are going to be better. But those agitations would come. The positive thing is that we should all be able to find an amicable solutions to them. You would find easy. The fuel they are demanding. I don't think that even the president gets that
30 gallons.
I don't even get quarter of that for 2-3 months. You can't even get that. But of course, you must always begin from the position of strength. You would want to make huge demands and expecting that as a result of the negotiations and discussions, you could get to a middle ground. What is important is to ensure that the fundamentals...
So, I must add that the 50% the EC staff are asking, they say is what they call non-sociable allowance, which they're demanding because they don't socialize. They're not supposed to be political, attached to any political party. They can't even, So we put it in context so that our viewers will have
sometimes I think that maybe it also boils down to the fact that our democracy is young. Some would argue that our democracy is no longer young because we are over 2 decades. But I think that we must begin getting to a stage where people would understand that we all have political interests. It doesn't matter whether you are the EC boss or working with the EC, but you should be able to live above, certain things. The expectation is that, yes, you can do that politics, maybe quietly in the room with your wife and your family, but when it comes to your work, and it is the same point that is referred to this district security thing, that, okay, the DC, if it is elected, he is an MPP DC in an MPP stronghold. You have an NDC president who comes, we need to begin moving away from that. It will take some time, but I am very convinced that things are going to be better.
Right.
And I'm also very convinced that government will stick to that, because by now, if government was going to spend like we have had over the years, you would have seen the signals start showing. They are not.
So
showing.
you are saying that government is not bowing to the pressure. You're going to pay, but you pay in January 2017, and that's good.
No, but even if you look at the teachers thing, it's something that, I mean, I'm a trained teacher by profession. We do know.
I didn't
that,
know, actually.
Yes, I'm a teacher. You do know that there are a lot of ghost names. In fact, there were instances.
So
there were
I'll move to
Okay.
Obiamo. Sorry, quickly.
Well,
so that.
Well, if you put it in the context of labor agitation, some of them, or we may say that they are more than justified. It's strange that in this country, a government can say that I've employed you for 3 years, but I will only give you 3 months' salary. People go on the streets from NADMO, other people, labor service, I say labor service, local government service. People are employed, and because they want jobs, their salaries are kept, and then when they want to pay them, they tell you, oh, they can only pay you for 3 months. Because they don't want to lose their jobs, they stay in. Now look at the situation with the teachers. You're saying that you are vetting their certificates. You are vetting them to see whether indeed they are qualified to be teachers. Now it's taking you so long, and even that, out of 29,000 or so, you said that you have cleared only about 5,000.
No, about 10,000.
About 10,000.
13,000 in total. Yeah.
You've cleared.
I mean, it's just yesterday, this week, that it was announced that 5,000
Yes.
have earned, and they will be paid end of
Yes.
September.
Yes, and then your figures are here. Not to just take you back, your figures are here. It says some 29,000 teachers before paying their claims.
Yeah.
They have announced that 5,000 of them are to be paid their standing salaries and allowances by end of September. Then this brings it to 10,000.
Over 10,000.
Over 10,000. Yes, but it's 29, then 5 are now to be paid.
Yeah.
That is the figure I'm quoting. And I'm saying that, so for how long is it taking them to address this? For how long are they going to wait for them to be vetted before they get...
Before January, before 7th December, they will be paid.
No, they said
Before
they
7th
want
December.
Right.
Because
of
60,000
elections.
votes are not small votes.
Because of elections.
Like 16,000 votes are not small votes.
Because of elections.
Honorable, so you have to wrap up.
You've made all your points. You still want to come
No,
in.
but you
You want
want
to allow him.
I beg your pardon. I need to allow Obiamo to land, and then we'll...
The easy aspect, the unfortunate part is how we've allowed it to come so close to elections. Some of these agitations have been going for a long time.
But they always happen close to elections.
Yes,
People make demands.
No, but
this is not the first time.
But we are aware that a lot of staff of EC, they don't even have accommodation. They don't have the facilities that they need to be able to run the electoral commission. And some of them very well qualified persons. Now, if we have to wait 3 months to elections, and they are making these demands, are we to meet them, or are elections in danger? We need answers to this. What kind of budget did the EC submit to the government, including the facilities for EC officers? And what is government doing about it? Because it's government who pays EC officials. And why should we wait to the last moment instead of discussing elections, regulations? We are discussing facilities for EC towards elections.
Prof, I'll bring Prof in. I mean, the demands by the Electoral Commission, we'll put it in context. Some might say it's outrageous. They are actually demanding 50% of their current salary as non-sociable allowance. Do you think it's outrageous a demand to make?
Well, that I don't know the details. I mean, they got their salary, and on top of that, they want 50% of that. So if there are any 10 Ghana cedis, they want 5 Ghana cedis more. For what?
For non-social, so for their inability to socialize and their inability to form political parties, align themselves to political groupings, you know,
is there
kind of thing.
Is there provision for that in any document somewhere? The labor
Conditions of service.
Condition of service. Is there something like that?
Maybe there.
Maybe it's there. Okay.
There is nothing like that.
There's nothing like that. So
I don't know.
It's something well, I'll be very surprised if they just came up with that phrase. Also, it's a very powerful frame.
Yeah.
Yes. It might be something in their document somewhere. Okay, or else they cannot create it.
There's nothing in there.
Okay, there's not. So they create this category and then they put a value on it. Is that correct? Now, what is stopping everybody else? Other people say, well, we can also define.
I mean, like, I'm a journalist. I've always tagged NDC.
Very good.
They bounce me about.
Very good. So you are what?
It's not as simple as
no. It's
like the judiciary.
Yes.
The judiciary, the kind of social life they have.
Yes.
It's different from what the normal people have. So in the same way, if the EC.
So you think that demand is fair?
They're making some points that we can listen to them and appreciate. Right. Probably the figures that may be high, but
we don't have to brush
because the average person, if I am renting my property, the EC person cannot come and rent that property because why should you go and stay in Obi Amo's house? Yeah. There's no way. There's no way that you can justify that.
So there is a definition.
There is some
They are
justification.
restricted in the way they interact with the society. And it prevents them from doing a lot of things. If we go to quantify it,
Prof, I need you to wrap up on your
Yes, no, certainly no. I just want some clarification. You know, we are talking to viewers out there.
That's right.
We don't want to miss up things.
That's true.
So there is a definition, and then they, based on that, they want 50%, and then they want it at this time. And I think it's not a coincidence. Certainly, it's a coincidence. Okay, and they said, despite we asking for this, we will do everything possible to have a fair and DC elections.
It makes you wonder.
That's very interesting.
Right. So let me move to Dr. Ahmed Jinapor. I want to switch from these teachers and salaries thing and talk about the potency of the candidature between Edward Mahama and Emmanuel Anyidoho. How would this make the PNC stronger going into the elections 2016? Now, PNC has refused. Well, I won't say has refused, but PNC and CPP are not able to create the merger that will make them a solid front anyway. And there are questions beyond our. So Dr. Jinapor,
I mean,
the two of them.
It's a very quick response, but I know this is the last time I'm going to speak, so let me just quickly wish my niece, Abu Jinapor's daughter, Jada Jinapor, happy birthday. I just
happy birthday
to Jada. But I think you see the point is this: vice presidential candidates are nominated or selected by the presidential candidate, and select a vice presidential candidate. There are so many factors that are put in place. If you look at the major political parties that have been within the fourth Republican dispensation, it's always been a north-south relationship. I mean, except Rawlings, who was south-south. Rawlings was with Akkad, and later on with Mills. And you look at Kufuor Aliyu, then Mahama Mills, and Mahama Imisata. Indeed, I used not to. I never knew Mr. Anyidoho, but when I looked at his profile, he's a solid candidate.
Harvard-trained economist.
That alone is.
And the party says he's humble and he has a grasp of the Ghana situation.
Yeah. He said he's as humble as Christ. I mean, for me. But you see,
he was singing Jimmy Cliff.
But look, I wish them the best of luck. In this country,
it's just luck. You can't.
Yes. No, I wish. Let me finish very. I want to give. I wish them the best of luck. I want to see a competitive election in 2016. I mean, Dr. Mahama has been around for a very long time. He was displaced by Hassan, and he's come back. And he's going to be competing Hassan again because Hassan also has his own political party. So I wish them the best of luck.
Right. So Susan Eduamankwa, CPP.
But just a quick one on the EC thing.
Oh,
chief advisor to the presidential candidate. No, he advises him when to bring it.
Soon and very soon. But I just wanted to say this issue about leave me alone. What's it called? The dead goat syndrome. I mean, he's saying that the dead goat syndrome will work. We want to see that it actually works. But with that, people go on strike, etc., etc. This is where governments must be proactive. The gospel issue has been since 2010, and it has gone back and forth. Chiefs of staffs have come in and have even tried to resolve the issue, and we are still with the issue because of the intransigence. Yeah, I mean, the intransigence of fair wages, etc., etc. I mean, this is when government, knowing that at this point in time they are vulnerable, and so people will make demands of them, etc., etc., etc. They ought to resolve these issues before we get to election time. I mean, this issue could have been resolved last year. You know, the gospel.
So you think that is the conduct of government in not resolving these issues that brings the pressure towards the election time?
No, because
and that they should deal with it.
It's about money. But the gospel issue had even gotten to a stage where they had agreed to whatever demands that gospel had made, and they said there were modalities for payment, only for it to be reversed, and they go back to the stalemate, and the pharmacists are tired. And if you know the gospel issue, they are the worst paid in the public sector. It's not gospel is just a section of pharmacists in the public sector. Pharmacists who work in FDA, etc., etc. They are all pharmacists, but are not treated as badly as them. Gospel. And it's sad for them. I'm a pharmacist.
We have understand 2 minutes to bounce.
So we hope that dead goat will see, because otherwise, if it doesn't work, so we will see.
What do you expect from a economy? They don't have money, so
the thing is that they say that the pharmacists are only 600 pharmacists. 600 votes are important too, because it's not just 600 votes. 600 votes plus my vote plus other people.
Let's wrap up on the
issue. Yeah, I mean, look, this election is about the economy. We're all talking about the economy, job creation, our pockets are empty. I said, maybe.
You heard it here first.
I said maybe.
Right, I have to read a couple of messages and we're out of here. Hello, doctor. Is it true that Nana wasn't a president before? Okay, I'm not God to decide, but remember, the devil you know is far better than the angel you don't know. That message, you didn't add your name. Next time, add your name. And this one said, Mr. Host, why do you always start with Mutala? That gives OB the MPP an extreme advantage. Well, I mean, we have to moderate, so it's not intentional. And this very long one coming from he says that the assertion by Mani and the NDC needed to borrow in excess of $24 billion to fulfill 75% of his manifesto promise cannot be true. The reason being that, one, some of the projects promised don't have issues with feasibility as they are extensions of current projects. Two, it will depend on the financing strategy of the government. For example, GPHA has the ability to borrow on its own, so GPHA can be made an investor in railway infrastructure, which already has retail. Same applies to airport infrastructure. Three, PPP laws enacted by Parliament will enable government to use PPP to arrange for the implementation of some of the projects. Four, Ghana Infrastructure Fund, created by law in 2017, may be used in raising fund for capital investment outside government balance. Five, also GDP will not remain static, so increase in debt will not necessarily increase. This doesn't have a name, but that's very detailed. Thanks very much. And Begla Jr. from WA says, good morning to your panelists. It's a bit weird about some of the promises the NDC has given already after rubbishing every single promise put out there by the MPP. I want to be a bit emphatic that our various parties should respect their promises after we have witnessed their administration clearly. Forget about most of their promises. That's 10 colleges of education, 1 premium of NHIS, 200 community day secondary schools. So that's it for New Day. Thanks for making time to join us. My name is Stephen Enti, and our guests have been fantastic. You have been good for joining us and sending in your messages. Join us again next week for another interesting discussion. And thanks to my panelists. We'll have to end. Thank you all for coming.